What's up, everybody? YouTube vinyl community, Extreme Edition. It's Pat, as always, your host here at Ground Zero Salem. Right now we're listening to new Father Befouled, entitled Desolate Gods on Dark Descent. This is my first spin through this. Very happy that these guys are back. When it was the hot thing to sound a lot like Incantation, which I think started maybe 10 years ago, the whole Inclontation movement. These were the guys that did it the best, with the best panache and flair. I'm told that this one, they kind of have a little bit more of their own sound going on, so we'll see. That was definitely a very Incantation pinch harmonic there, but yeah, so far sounds good, but I'm on track 2, so glad to be checking that out. So this update, I got some incredible VCLT love from my buddies, from Eric Bauer and from Marty Worm. So that will be the bulk of what we're discussing. Also got some of those noise reissues. I'm going to go into that too. So let's get started. First we'll go with Eric's record that he sent me. Got this earlier in the week. This is Warhead. Self-titled. Japanese hardcore punk. Great stuff. Not straight up D-beat tempo like a lot of Japanese bands. A couple songs seem to be of that style, but good bouncy pogo stuff. Super distorted, which is often a token thing of the Japanese bands. Frenzied, screeching vocals. Awesome rumbly bass sound. Fucking great art from that guy Sugi, who Eric, I believe, has a video on, just all his artwork. So this is awesome. Thank you, Eric. This is a wonderful record. I can't wait to spin this even more. I've only spun the first side so far today. Then listening to music while putting together a tape trading list. There's a couple of guys, a guy in Germany and a guy in Costa Rica. Tape trading's really fun. It's very time consuming, actually physically dubbing tapes, but I love it because there's a lot of stuff that, as much as you'd think everything would possibly be on the internet, it's not the case. And there's some stuff you can't track down anywhere other than these trade lists with these guys. I met them on the Nuclear War Now board a few years ago, and it's a lot to, it's a lot to do activity-wise, and so I don't get to do it very often as my time is limited, but wicked fun doing that. And speaking of tapes, I do have side 1 of the mix done, so full hour of music, lots of great grind, hardcore, death metal, a few surprises so far. So get your entry in for the raffle if you want that. The subscriber rate kind of slowed to a trickle as soon as I started the raffle, so I think I have plenty of time before that 300 subscribers come up. I'm at 284 now, but it seems to fluctuate. I lose a couple, gain a couple. Once it hits 300, I really won't care how many that I have. I don't think. Recognition's nice, but this is all about communication and making new friends for me, and I've made a lot, so couldn't be happier with that. Alright, so next we have Marty. Sent me a whole stack of fucking 7 inches. This is the note he left in the parcel. I was very surprised. I made a small order from Bindrune. Got my fiance a couple of presents, a few presents for myself. Got that Panopticon reissue of Kentucky and Panfagi's Storm. It arrived. They arrived in a box that was like this. Fucking huge box, so I was like, what the hell is this? And in it was a stack of 7 inches. Ugh! Man, I'm out of shape. That many freaking 7 inches. And apparently these were submissions to Worm Gear back in the day. And this is the note. Pat, VCLT payback, exclamation point. It's the hardcore song. The contents within were all submitted back in the Worm Gear days. Some I disliked, some I didn't listen to. This isn't my preferred medium, so I'm passing the goods to you. Been collecting dust for years. I hope there's something within that summons the fire. You rule, sir. Cheers, Marty. Cheers to you, my friend. This is awesome. A lot of gems in here. I'll get into it. I listened to about half the stack while I was trying to crank out my trade list for those guys. Yeah, a few things that I was familiar with. a bunch of stuff that I wasn't. A lot of stuff I was pleasantly surprised by. This was not one of the ones that I was pleasantly surprised by. We'll just get that out of the way. This is Brutal Deception by Rhenium, which is a heavy metal. Get it? Yeah, not my cup of tea. You know, it's kind of power groove, Pantera, down kind of stuff, like later Sacred Reich, like yeah, kind of like slower thrash with a groove. Never was my thing. This, however, this 7-inch, All Is Suffering, this band was from North Carolina. This is awesome. They have a full length too that I think I'm gonna buy because it's like $3 on Discogs. Sounded like Tragedy before fucking Tragedy on the first side, the first song. There's like Tragedy, that kind of melodic, charging D-beat kind of stuff, punkish stuff, with like a dissection breakdown, like a slower dissection melodic riff. Fucking rad. Freaked out a little bit by the cover art. I was like, it's a Holocaust thing. What's going on there? But the first song on side 2 is Denazification of Your Weak Mind, so their stance on that's pretty clear. That song's a little bit more on the grind side of things, grind almost kind of death metal. And Dragon of the Black Pool, the last song, is very black metal sounding, black thrash sort of melodic touches. This band's great. This is awesome. I'm fucking stoked I got exposed to this. Homo Eradicus. This is pretty cool. Just gave it a quick spin. Kind of screamo-y grind kind of stuff. Interesting little... A lot of the 7-inches on here are on this Rock and Roll Play label, so they must have sent a lot of stuff to Worm Gear back in the day. And I remember hearing about them in the pages of MRR. Yeah, a lot of these I just gave a quick spin, you know, just to say something about them. But yeah, sort of J-card style, but from the side on the back there. Interesting packaging. And then we have a Fudgeworthy release, Charlie Infection from Gonkulator and Psycho's label. 2 German bands, it looks like. Vaseline, and who is this? Cadaver Feast. Vaseline's pretty good, like straight up kind of grind on the death metal side of things. Cadaver Feast are just really sloppy, barely grind, barely anything. Like kind of loud, rumbly bass, hardcore punk, grind kind of shit. Not too impressed with that side, but Cadaver Feast, Vaseline are pretty good. And it came with this Fudgeworthy order form. Lots of bangers on this, man. Some more stuff for me to track down on 7-inch. All these are 7 inches. Squashballs / Bird Flesh split. Shit. Pest BC Armageddon, the black metal, the Finnish black metal band. A couple of Pests. I think there's a German one too. Impiety, Slave the Goat. Out Cold, great hardcore band from Mass. Bulge, which is G.G. Allen with the Psycho guys. This came on green vinyl. So that was a cool gimme for sure. Fudgeworthy stuff is definitely always interesting. Next up we got Scalp Lock. This is Scalp-Lock. There was there was a British, I think, band that was Scalp Lock, one word. I thought that's who this was at first, and then I checked the liner notes. It looks like these guys are from the States, judging by all the bands they're thanking. This came out on Satan's Pimp, who put out a lot of fastcore, grind, power violence kind of stuff. And this is workman-like power violence. It's good. A lot of stops and starts, drastic tempo changes like you have in that genre. Yeah. Looks like they're from California, judging by the addresses on here. But, yeah, cool band. Enjoy that. Then we got this Only Living Witness 7-inch. This was a band that was on Century Media in the 90s. They were kind of like a more riff-laden, slightly more 70s metal, like Black Sabbath groove, but post-hardcore. Like Quicksand and stuff like that. They were almost like the Boston Quicksand in sort of a way. The guitarist Craig Silverman has been in a lot of bands. He was in a great thrash band from Boston in the 80s called Formicide that sooner or later are supposed to be getting the Crib treatment and getting all their... They did 3 demos, I think. Hopefully that's going to come out sooner than later. Ted's got lots of stuff to put out, but they were awesome. And Craig also now plays in both Slapshot and Agnostic Front, so quite the fucking resume with that guy. But this is a cool little 7-inch. Like I said, it's that sort of post-hardcore kind of 90s stuff with a groove to it. I like this band a lot. There's not a lot of bands that sound like this that I dig, but the riffs from this band are fucking great. And we got Traumatism. These guys, it sounds like, are from Quebec, because this is live, and all the stage banter in between is French. I think it said something in the liner notes about how they're from Canada, so we'll go with that. Really good, like, grinding death kind of stuff. Not quite as good as their country mates Dahmer, but sort of along those lines. Very, very, very good stuff. I will spin this again for sure. The first song is called Stupid Pedophiliac. The second song is called Juicy Cerebellum. That feels weird reading that aloud. Let's move on. This was a... What the fuck is this band called? What does that say? And it took me a little bit to get it. Gorge is the name of the band. Gorge. Like 4-track recording, grindcore stuff. Very, very noisy, harsh on the ears. Very, very lo-fi. The flip has Bullet by the Misfits and Friends Like You by Sick of It All. My favorite Sick of It All song, I did not listen to the second side because I wasn't sure if I wanted to hear what this band was going to do to that. But the first side's an interesting listen if you're in the mood for noise stuff, noisy shit, which often I am. I dug it. And a lot of these are from the 90s when Worm Gear were in their heyday, and you can tell by a lot of the cover art. It was when a lot of computer desktop publishing kind of stuff was getting off the ground and people were kind of just figuring out how to use it. This is an example of it maybe going kind of awry. Murder Squad, Blackened by the Vision of God. This came with a promo sheet, which I should have thought to have in front of me. It's over there, I'm not going to grab it, but a little promo sheet talking about the band. These guys were from the Binghamton, New York scene, and they've had members of this punk band that I used to see all the time called the Alienation, who are a fun band. I want to say the singer and guitarist were twin brothers named Mike and Mark. Massive human beings. Definitely looked like extras out of Mad Max, all spikes. One of them had like a red mohawk, I think it was the guitarist. But they did a lot for that scene. Alienation was around, I think, from like the late 80s or early 90s up until somewhere into the 2000s. They were like, kept the scene going in that town. Punk as fuck dudes. Super, super nice guys. And a lot of their material was quite good. And they did a lot of side projects. And this was more of a crusty, slightly kind of death metal recording, it seems like. And it's really good. It's really, really good. I was pleasantly surprised. The imprint this came out on, I think that was a Century Media, by the way, the only living witness. This came out on Wounded Paw Records, which is a Toronto label. I know the guitarist, I can't remember if he was Mike or Mark, moved to Toronto and joined Armed and Hammered, which was a punk band that'd been around forever up there. So this is the Murder Squad side. Excellent. Bloodsucking Freaks, they're definitely trying to do something different, but man, is it not my thing. It's a weird combination of like kind of death metal-ish hardcore stuff with techno, or maybe it could be considered industrial, but it is definitely two great tastes that taste awful to me. But yeah, cool little photocopied insert. We got this kind of fold out kind of deal there. It's just on black vinyl. Big old collage in there. Yeah, Murder Squad, awesome. Bloodsucking Freaks, not my thing. Then we have BloodHag with Glow, which is kind of apropos. I've been watching that. We've been watching that Glow show on Netflix. And it started out kind of rough, and I think it's been getting better. But you know, I'm a wrestling fan, so I'm interested in that sort of thing. The documentary was excellent. This is a band called BloodHag, Gorgeous Ladies of Writing, with the theme being around female authors. Me being barely literate, the only name I recognize on it is Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, of course. But this has a whole little promo thing. Recorded by Alex Newport of Fudge Tunnel and Nail Bomb fame. So I don't know. I guess these guys are from Seattle. This also came out on Rock and Roll Play. Yeah, really interesting concept. Came with like a zine, which is cool. Cool looking zine there. The Ugly Truth. Mostly about the band, it looks like. Interviews, flyers. So me being a fan of zines, I'll probably plow through that. The music is kind of all over the place, and I don't really think it's my cup of tea either, but what the hey. Some of it's almost kind of death metal, some of it has a little bit more of a rappy kind of groove to it, which usually is not what I'm feeling, but apparently this glows in the dark, so that's cool. Total Mystery. This has got an upside down cross on it, which is this cool like silkscreen kind of thing. Very cool looking record. Envelope. No idea what label. Oh, the label actually is on there, and is it Crack Rock Records, another Seattle. I don't know if Eric's familiar with any of this stuff or any of these bands, being that he lives out here. This sounds like really chaotic 90s screamo. The blistering stuff pre the whatever screamo became the decade later. And it's pretty cool. It sounds like Orchid, if any of you are familiar with Orchid. I dig it, whatever it is. It has some kind of ominous keyboardy kind of parts too that are neat. So that's cool. Enjoyed spinning that. Then we have a band called Ahimsa, The Grueling Terror of Ahimsa. This is also grind, and it's also on Rock and Roll Play. This is more the type of grind played by hardcore kids. Slight kind of screamo-ish edge to it, but definitely guttural kind of grind. Sort of like bands like Acrid, who did the split with Left 4 Dead, if any of you guys know that kind of stuff. But yeah, definite grindcore. You know, could probably go comfortably next to like Monster X or something like that from the hardcore scene kind of grind. Cool shit, kind of a J-card sort of deal again. I do like that the Rock and Roll Play label has the Lucio Fulci zombie on it. It's a, you know, it's an icon you see pop up a lot, but for good reason. Iron Lung and Teen Cthulhu. This is a record when I was pawing through these, I was like, oh man, that's awesome. Because I like both of these bands. I had the Teen Cthulhu full length years ago, sold it off at some point when I had a purge. I think it was called Ride the Blade, something involving the blade. They were a cool, pretty unique band for their time. They were a kind of a combination of like early Emperor, sort of like sort of symphonic keyboardy black metal, but with hardcore and like a little bit of metalcore, a little bit of screamo. Better than it sounds. Kind of power violence more so than those genres, really, when I think about it. But cool, you know, silkscreen cover. This is also on Rock and Roll Play and Satan's Pimp, who put out some good stuff. Iron Lung on the flip is still going. Two-piece, if I remember correctly, or at least they were at one point or another. Power violence band, a little bit on the noisier side. Really quite good. Band I don't go to often, but are definitely excellent live, times that I've seen them. I believe they're the brain behind them. I can't remember the guy's name. I know he plays in other bands. I think he had something to do with Hatred Surge at one point or another, and maybe Mammoth Grinder, or maybe not. I rarely research. And then the last one that I went through and listened to, I just saw this and I was like, metalcore, 90s metalcore, as Darkness Falls. Parts of this I'm into, parts of this I'm not. I do like the fact that the first song is called Hook Horror, which is one of my favorite Fiend Folio bad guys from the D&D Fiend Folio from 1981. A tome that I have many tattoos of monsters from, BT Dubs. Hook Horror is a cool one. It's a monster with hooks for hands. This is on Red, and it's very typical of the metalcore of the time. It was before a lot of the syrupy, sing-songy stuff and the guy liner and the black hair really came into that scene. You can see the kid's got the parted down the middle haircut there. You know, you got the weird sort of like obscure drawing of like the faceless figure You know, it's very typical. All this is very typical of metalcore of the day. This band was from Jersey. Their heavy parts are really good. There's a lot of chugging, but there's a lot of the sincere guy talking, which some of you might know what I'm talking about. Probably Mike Seatown would know, where it's just like, how I feel inside, and it just keeps coming on, like shit like that, where I'm like, just get back to growling, dude. But the heavy parts are good. There's some good riffs. And then there's a bunch more that I haven't listened to. I went for the stuff that immediately looked grindy. I got 2 copies of the BloodHag in there, so if anybody would like one, maybe I'll VCLT it to somebody. So I got some of the Noise reissues. I was really excited. They did a fantastic job with those Voivod reissues. They were nice, no frills, exactly like the originals. I had one of the originals of one of the Voivod records, put them side by side, they look great. I didn't buy the Creator ones on vinyl just because I wasn't a fan of the photoshopping and all that kind of stuff, but I did pick them up on this nice CD book edition. They look and sound good. As you can see, remastered, and there's like this weird shading, and they photoshopped in like scalpel blade. I don't understand why. What the hell the point is of that? Looks like there's a piece of tape over the logo, like. But they sound awesome. It's got some awesome demos from the early days on there. One issue I take with these, you know, again, this is nitpicking. It's not a big deal, but I might get my own envelopes because these sleeves that slide in and out, it seems like they do damage to the CD over time. Also got The Pleasure to Kill. Just grab these. Yeah, you know, I'm happy with it. Newberry Comics, they were like $12, you know. Sound and look good. And then, earlier this week, the same day I got all the other stuff in the mail. It's just an avalanche of goodness. I got my Frost reissues. I pre-ordered them, and they are bulky tomes. I mean, like, they just bow out because of all the crap in them. So I need to get some bags around these, like, yesterday. The booklets are awesome, but there's not really a smart solution for them being... They came shipped in the sleeves, which I know probably caused some damage. This Morbid Tales reissue has ringware on it already. And, you know, faithful reproduction. Looks good. I mean, these booklets are awesome. I just wish they were stored better and just not next to the vinyl. But, again, you know, vinyl nerd rage, blah, 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 blah. It's the worst things that can happen to a person. But, yeah, very, very cool, very thick booklets. Of course, I got... I know what this is called. Why am I reading it off? To Megatherion on there. You know, I have the original on Noise, or is it Under One Flag? I forget which label, but again, very faithful reproduction. What's a bummer to me a little bit is that Emperor's Return is part of this, and there's no artwork. Like, I'd like it to be on the record somewhere, but again, tiny little gripes, you know? Same size booklet, friggin' huge. There's some posters in here of the album art and poster of the band. It's definitely cool looking. I haven't spun these yet, but I did get the Best of 2 CD collection, forget the name of it, title of it currently, it's in the car. That also looks really nice. Has the same top-loading envelope-y kind of thing that the creators do, so, you know, it's no big deal. You get your own little sleeves, who cares, but, yeah, I mean, came kind of dinged up. I don't know if that's really the postal service or the packaging. The packaging seemed a little flimsy, which is fine, was fine for the Voivod reissues, but for these bulky-ass things, I kind of wish they were packed a little better. Of course, my least favorite, Into the Pandemonium, isn't damaged in the slightest. I still love this record. I don't care what anybody says. I like the experimentation. I like the One in Their Pride weird techno song. And these all have some pretty cool bonuses. What's nice is the continuity is retained. The first album is just the original. The second LP is all the bonus stuff. So this has Chapel in the Moonlight. It's got bonuses from the 12-inch, the Collector's Celtic Frost. There's some session tracks. that's nice. Again, once again, this very, very full booklet. Looks like there's commentary on all what he was thinking about the lyrics and all the songs. Lots of cool stuff to pour through while you're listening, which is nice. But yeah, you know, can't lie and say that I'm not a little bit disappointed that these are packaged like this. You know, could have been done better, you know, but hey, it is what it is, man. Life is short. Don't sweat the small stuff. Live, laugh, love, or whatever the fuck. Yeah, so that's it for now. Get your entries in for the raffle if you're interested in the tape. Like I mentioned, I'm going to make a bunch of them. I ordered a few more of these Bad Larrys off of eBay. I got, I think 4 more of these 2-hour cassettes coming. I'm going to give them out to friends. I mean, it will trickle out because it's going to take 2 hours to make each of these. And I'm not going to cheat y'all and high-speed dub because we know that degrades the quality. And if you didn't, now you do. So when I run out of those, I have 110-minute tapes that I got from like a cassette supplier, you know, one of those. So there will be some tracks omitted, you know. That's just tough cookie. So yeah, that's it for now. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. I'm about to go mow my lawn. That should be good. Maybe listen to some more tunes while I take care of the lawn maintenance. But until next time, this is Pat Wilding from Ground Zero signing out. Peace.